Alright, so character sculpted. Now what I want to do is basically switch from sculpting to painting. So we're going to click on the paint tab. And we will add a new layer. And I'm just going to call this primary colors, just so that it's not that it's actually going to be primary colors. It's just mean like the main colors. Okay, so it's going to be a diffuse layer. I don't know if I showed that before, but diffuse means color. Okay. Anyway, so we have that in there. But one thing I want to do is actually from the sculpt, I want to bake the sculpt layers onto my paint layers. You know what? We'll do that afterwards. So the way the paint works is that you have your color here. And then we're going to go switch to the paint tools. You got a paintbrush, and then paint settings are over here. Works very similarly to what you've done before. So with the color here, I'm going to click and let's make my shirt like a reddish color, we'll say. A little more desaturated. Okay, so we'll say this is what color I want my shirt to be. And then I will just paint red. Now, this works fine. So you just paint blah, 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 right? So I'm trying to do the best I can. And I blah, 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 rotate around. You get the idea. Now, what might be easier than trying to paint it this way, especially when I get to these lines where the shirt are, it's hard to tell where it starts and where it ends, is actually you can use this. If you go to UVs, you can go flatten to UV space, and it actually takes the model and flattens it. So now what I can do is paint. Now, when you do this, though, you actually got to turn mirror off. So turn that back off. Because otherwise, you might have noticed it was painting over here because it's mirroring on X. Unless your UVs are mirrored correctly, then you don't have to worry about it. But so I'm just going to go ahead and paint directly onto these here. So I'm going to be a little bit larger. This is like a sleeve, right? All right. Where's the other? Oops. Where's the other sleeve? Ah, there's the other sleeve. Okay, these are like shoes. So I'm just going to go through and just going to give myself kind of. There we go. So here's a shoe. So I'm just going to paint this shoe. Paint this shoe. Just those two for the shoes. Where's the bottom of the shoe? Anyway, so here is this must be an arm and arm. These are pants. Okay, so we'll skip the arms now. Let's just do the pants. So click on this, and I'm just going to get myself grayish pants, we'll say. Actually, we'll do more of a. I have these navy blue pants. Like that. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint my pants. Yep, they're pantsalicious. Okay. It's easier to do the primary, main colors this way. Okay. And I don't know what this is. Assuming, oh no, that's an arm. Whoops, we didn't want to do that anyway. Okay, so I did my pants. Make sure you do a better job than I did. You can see I didn't really get to the edges very well. Not at all. Then I'm going to do my skin tone. So let's go back up here, click on that. Boom. So I'm pretty pale. So we're going to go like that, and I will paint my skin. Okay. It's actually not too far off from where it was to start with. Okay, so we have all the pieces. So now all you're going to do is go to UVs and unflatten from UV space. And you see, yay, right? So that's pretty good. You know, you could fix some of it up too. So I might want to paint that in. So primary colors. Then you could just make another one, and we'll make sure it's on diffuse. Oh, I usually like to change this to PNG. I don't know if that's on TIFF or not. And I'll call this secondary colors. And then on this one, hang on a second. Okay, good. On this one, I could go through and maybe I want to paint white stripes on my shirt. I could, you know, go like this and paint white stripes. You know what I mean? You could do whatever with that. I could grab an image off the internet and stencil it on. So let's say, let's try it out. Actually, let's just do it. So let's go in here and let's do the Cecil College logo. So let's go images, and this one looks fine. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to right click and save. Save image as. We're going to say right to the desktop. Primary mark. That's fine. Save. All right. Yay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring that into the stencil. Add a stencil. Go to desktop. Primary mark. Boom. There it is. And I can take that. And I'm just going to S it down. All right. Okay. S it down. Oops. S it down with the right click so it's smaller. Now here's the problem though. I'm going to go back to my brush. See, it's gray. Watch what's going to happen when I go to brush this. It's going to paint gray, which is fine. But if I actually wanted to paint the actual color, you'd want to use projection. And then when I go to paint it, it'll actually paint the green of the color. So let's say you have a color image and you actually want to paint that color onto the thing and not just use it as an alpha. Now, if I wanted to make this and I'm like, oh, I actually want it to be like just black or whatever color I want to choose over here, let's say it's white, I would not use projection. Just use regular paintbrush and then use the stencil. And I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger. Right click. So we'll say, and then left, oops, oh, sorry, S and right there. And I'm just going to paint this. I don't know if my opacity is down or what. It's like not very strong. Okay. Like that, and then I'll say Q, and I'll turn it off. Okay, so now I painted the stencil. So you could paint things that way too, and I could turn that on and off right here, right? So this is a good thing. Like, let's say you're going to do a character, you want to have interchangeable shirts or something. You could put those on a separate layer, you know, and things like that. So you could paint all of that stuff on there. Now what I want to do is this. We're going to, so I'd go through and I paint a bunch of things. Another thing I want to do is this. Let's make another one. And I'm going to call this pre-shading. Okay. And there's a couple ways to go about doing this, but I'm just going to do it by hand. You'll see over here, there's another brush called dry brush. So the way that this works is if you look at the illustration, see how it's only going to the upraised surfaces and the lower parts are not the valleys? The hills are being hit, but the valleys are not. So I'm going to keep my color as this kind of bright white. And then what you're going to notice is when I brush over this, let's take the strength down a whole bunch. When I brush over this, it's going to hit the upper areas, but not the lower areas. Now watch this. Let's say I hold Control instead, so it does the opposite. It'll hit the inside areas, but not the outside areas. See how that works? Now it looks like he got some deodorant problems. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that, and I'm just gonna weaken it up even more, and then I'm just gonna kind of brush over this real quick, right? And I'll just kind of brush over this real quick. It's a little strong. Let's make the even weaker. Make it really weak. All right, so this just kind of pre-shades it. It'll make it look a little bit nicer. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to black, and I'm going to hold Control this time, and actually this can actually be a little bit stronger. I'm going to hold Control, and now that you can see how it's kind of highlighting the creases a little bit more, and we'll just kind of paint here. So like the crotch and these wrinkles, you can see considerably better now, because of holding Control while brushing a dark color will do that. It's a little much there. Okay. So kind of a pre-shading, and then usually I'll do another one where I just add a little bit of red to surfaces as well and do some variation on the skin colors and what have you. But I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. Okay, so that's, let's say we painted a bunch, and there's other tools here, and you can play around with them, like burn and dodge. So dodge obviously lightens, burn will darken, adding contrast, sponge. You know, your typical stuff. And there's more you can do with this too, but I'm not gonna, you know, go down that rabbit hole. So the next thing I want to do basically is this. So I have these going on, but the whole point of doing the sculpt is that if you look, if I do my wireframe, which I think is it, I thought it was, yeah, it's W. You can see like this model is too high res. I can't actually use that, right? So I'm going to hit W and take that back off. What I want to do is basically bake from this level to, I'm going to put page down, page down, page down. Let's say level 1's okay. We'll say to level 1. I want to bake a normal map. That's basically going to take all these wrinkles that I sculpt and fake it onto the lower res. Okay, so page up. Okay, good. So to do that, we're going to procedurally produce it. So you're going to go to UVs and maps, extract texture maps, new operation. You can call it whatever you want, I don't really care, but what we're after is a normal map. So target model is what level the model's going to be. So in this case, it's level 0, that's our lowest level, and where it's going to bake from. So I want to bake from my highest level, okay? Raycasting's fine, just click on best guess and it should find what it wants. And then one map for all targets is fine. Image size is 1024. We want to do 2048 because it's a little bit bigger. Anti-aliasing, do at least 2x. I'm only going to do 2x. You could go higher if you want. Compatibility is obviously Maya, which means it's tangent. It's going to create a texture, and then it's going to want to know where to save it. So I'm just going to go ahead, and you could put this right to your source images of your Maya project folder. So I don't have a Maya project folder of this, so I'm just going to put it in here, and I'm just going to call it like character normal map. Okay? And then you'll hit extract, and it might take a second because it's creating a bunch of things. This is one of those things too that could actually crash on. So you might want to save it before you do this. But you can see right down here, it's giving me a percentage. And once that's done, then what we do is we export out the results. Yay, okay. And hit close. Okay. Now it's going to look a little bit like it's a little too much because you want to hit page down until you get to the lowest version. And also go to mesh or display and do smooth shaded in case you have, there you go. And now it's going to give you, it's a little bit dark, but you can see it basically baked the high res details onto the low res model. So if I hit W, see he's actually pretty low res, but it looks like he has those wrinkles painted on him through the normal mapping. Okay, so now we are good. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to export this out. So we already exported out the normal map. It automatically did that when it created it, but the diffuse map I need. I want all of them together. So just over top of the word diffuse, right click and just do export channel merged. Go ahead and leave it as a PNG, and then we're just going to say character color map. Okay, and that will export out the all these combined. And then what we want to do is we want to export out the model. So go to object list. We've been working on layers, object list, and just select the mesh. And you're just going to do file, export selection. And again, I would just send this to your Maya, do an OBJ. Send it to your Maya scenes file, but I'm just going to say to Maya because that's where I'm sending it. And then it's going to export out an OBJ. You can open up Maya and get rid of this one. The reason why we don't want to keep the one we're using and just throw the textures on it is because when we sculpt it, it actually changed the shape of them as well. So we want to import the new one. So you could just do a new scene or whatever, and then we're just going to file, import. And it's going to be to Maya. Okay. Which is fine. If you look, he looks a little bit different than the other one. And then I want to assign a new material, so I'll just do it this way. Right click, assign new material. We'll just assign a blend. Okay. We have the material here, and now what we're going to do is for the color, I'm going to click on color. We want to choose a file, and we're going to choose the character color, not that one. Desktop, sorry, character color map. Boom. And I'm going to hit 6 so I can see it. And you can see there it is, looking adequate. Also do this, well, leave it like that for now. Okay, then go back to the material. Then I want to go to bump mapping, click on that, and I'm going to choose file. And we don't want actually a bump, we want tangent space normals. I'm going to click on this arrow, so we go to the file, hit the folder, and it's going to be character normal map, open. Alright, and it looks a little weird here, but it should look fine in the actual render. I don't want an Arnold rendered. Can I choose? Come on. You suck, Maya. There we go. Maya software. Hopefully it even creates a light. He looks great! I got to soften the normals and probably make some adjustments as well. But you can see the normal map is affecting it now. So, that is basically it. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to attach those two things. You're going to save the Maya project folder. And then you're going to compress it to a zip. And then you submit that. And that's what I want for the texturing assignment. All right, so good luck.